Hello everyone, welcome to Self Love You. This is Jenna Ryan and I am doing another audio today. And I just want to say hi to all the self-lovies, those returning subscribers to the Self Love You channel who are dedicated and devoted to creating a better life for yourself and overcoming things that are not good for you and learning to create a life that you love, where you love yourself, you love the world, and you love your relationships. Hello to everyone. If you're a new subscriber, please do indulge yourself in some of my audios and videos. I am here to serve the community and to bring to light some of my wisdom and knowledge and understanding that I've learned throughout the healing journey. And that's what I'm here to do. So today I'm going to talk about a very important topic, and that is how to stand up for yourself. I kind of want to do this as a video, but I am a working real estate agent, and sometimes it becomes difficult to create videos. So I'm driving a lot, so it's easier for me to do an audio, and I would rather you have this information than to wait until I have time to sit down and do a full-on video. So today's topic is important. It's about how to stand up for yourself. How to stand up for yourself. What a concept. Believe it or not, there's those of us who have difficulty standing up for ourselves. And the reason is because we were not taught to be assertive in childhood. And so if you were not taught how to be assertive in childhood, you have to learn yourself in adulthood. You have to learn, or you're going to be in pain. You're going to be a victim. So if you are not satisfied with being in victim mentality and having a sense of learned helplessness, and if that's not satisfactory to you, and you have the wherewithal, the will, the desire, the gumption, the perseverance, and the desire to feel better in your life, then you have to learn to stand up for yourself. Now, this does not mean, there's just so many facets to this. I'm just going to focus on basic standing up for yourself. If you want to stand up for yourself, then it all starts at home. You have to start within yourself in standing up for yourself against all your internal introjects, all your internal forces that are putting you down, which means you're standing up for yourself against the inner critic, and that you're standing up for yourself against all the negative parental voices, the trauma voices within. Standing up for yourself starts within. You have to stand up for yourself within. You have to validate yourself from within before you're going to have the ability to stand up for yourself externally in the presence of others. So you have to believe, first of all, that you exist, that you have a right to exist, and you have to be able to determine what you're feeling at any given moment. If you're going to stand up for yourself, you have to become comfortable with your own anger and aggression. Because anger is a message, it is a emotion that helps us to see when our boundaries or dignity are being violated. So anger is actually a useful tool and a useful emotion. It's not something you want to silence. It is something that you want to receive, to integrate, to listen to, and then to act upon. Anger is not a bad thing, as you would see on the internet, on the memes. Anger tells you when you need to stand up for yourself. And so many of us were taught to ignore our feelings in childhood that as adults, we don't even know how we feel. And what happens is when you don't know how you feel, it just all goes into one central boiling pot where you just feel ick, and it becomes depression, and it becomes anger turned inward because you get mad at yourself when you do not take up for yourself, when you do not stand up for yourself. But when your feelings are all combobulated, when they're all jumbled and you don't know what you feel because you were never honored, you were never validated for feelings, then you're going to get confused and you're not going to know what end is up. You're not going to know how you feel, what you're responsible for, what is the other person's responsibility, and where you end and the other person begins. You're just going to be a codependent mix, an enmeshed blob, where you receive the feelings of others and you try to give your feelings to others and make others responsible, and then you feel good or bad based on the actions of others, and you cannot possibly stand up for yourself if you're not clear, if you're not in line, and you don't know exactly where you end and another person begins. So standing up for yourself is going to start from within. You have to get the wires that are all jumbled up and crossed within your heart and soul and mind and psyche. You have to uncross those wires. I have videos in my YouTube channel on Self-Love You about feeling your feelings, connecting with your feelings, understanding your feelings. The reason I created those videos is as a way to teach you how to connect with your feelings. I wish someone had told me those things when I was younger. It would have saved me a lot of pain and a lot of therapy. But I had to figure all this out by Googling. Google. I would have a feeling and I would Google it, or I'd feel a certain way and I would Google it. So I had to learn all this, literally piece it all together. This wasn't in a book. This had to be pieced all together, learning how to stand up for myself. So I read several books. And I had to deal with other things. So there's a lot of things that stand in the way of your ability to stand up for yourself, including toxic shame and shame. So listen to videos. I don't know if I have a video just about toxic shame. I know that a video on toxic shame would not get a lot of views because nobody wants to deal with their shame. But you have to deal with your shame. You have to deal with your toxic shame that was passed along to you from generation to generation if you want to learn to stand up for yourself. Because shame will silence you and it will keep you bound in negative behaviors and negative patterns that are not healthy. So you have to deal with your toxic shame. And you have to learn that it's not your fault, it's not you, that you deserve love, and you have to really come to terms with what's your fault, which is nothing, except for, blatant acts that you're doing negatively, if you're lying, cheating, stealing, betraying others. Well, that you should have shame for that. But there's a lot of things that people who have gone through trauma in childhood or anything that doesn't allow them to express their wholeness as people, then there's a lot of shame that they feel that's not theirs. So you have to deal with that shame, because a person who has shame at their core is not going to be able to stand up for themselves appropriately, because they don't realize whose fault is what and what belongs where. And they're just under a heavy weight of shame. So they don't feel that they have a right to stand up for themselves or that they can. So you have to deal with that. You have to grieve your losses. If you have losses in your life that you haven't grieved, resentments that you have not forgiven, I want to say that might be the wrong term, because I don't believe in forgiveness in a sense of you let the person come back in your life and continue on as always, but forgiveness in a sense of letting acceptance. I want to say acceptance. Instead of resentment, in its place, acceptance. So you have to have that in order to feel confident enough to stand up for yourself. And standing up for yourself within is a process of learning to recognize how you feel. So if you feel that you are being violated, or your boundaries are being pushed, or something in your scenario, in your situation feels uncomfortable, then it is up to you to stand up for yourself. It's up for you to notice that you feel uncomfortable, and then it's up to you to take action on your own behalf. Taking action on your own behalf. And this may take practice for people that have grown up being too agreeable and maybe, people pleaser. It may take practice taking up for yourself, acting on your own behalf. So this means you know how you feel. You can feel it when something is bothersome to you. And then you can express to the other person that this is not acceptable, or that you have a problem with it, that you don't like it. And you can set a boundary against it. And when you set a boundary, you are letting people know, hey, here is my line. This is where I end and you begin. And I don't like that. What you're doing, I don't like it. And I really care about you, and I want you to know that this hurts my feelings, or makes me feel sad, or makes me feel mad, or makes me feel frustrated. And here's what I need from you. And if I don't get this need from you, then this is what I'm going to do to protect myself. So, standing up for yourself is about setting boundaries. Sometimes it's about not going somewhere, not feeling obligated, not allowing obligation to control you. That is a form of standing up for yourself. So if obligation is controlling you, family obligation, feelings of guilt, obligation, fear, not allowing fear, the fog, fear, obligation, and guilt to control you. So there was a family member in my life who has since passed away that I did not like to be around. I did not like to be around this person. And although I felt an extreme obligation, and I many times in my life would expose myself to this person in terms of being around them. I didn't even want to go around them, but I would go around them even though I didn't want to. And one day, as I grew, as I learned who I am, and I learned to listen to my internal truth and my internal self saying, I don't want to go there. I learned to say, I don't want to go. Regardless of who it hurt or how obligated I felt, I just decided that I was going to honor my truth above and beyond the obligation. And that was one of the first steps for me. There was many first steps, but this was a huge step for me of honoring my truth. Standing up for myself by not exposing myself to someone who made me feel uncomfortable. And this was just emotionally uncomfortable. I just didn't want to be around this person. I've never regretted it. This person has since passed away. I've never regretted it one day. In fact, I'm grateful that this person was there to show me how to love myself and how to stand up for myself, because that was the greatest lesson. Because that was the first step. And when I did that, and I took that first step, and I didn't allow the obligation and self-doubt to cause me to do something that made me feel uncomfortable, I was empowered. I felt a sense of empowerment. I felt a difference between me and others, and I honored how I felt, and I stood up for myself against feeling uncomfortable. And so I was able to do this, and every time to this day, when there is a situation that I question, do I have a right to feel this way, to need this, to want this? Do I have a right to not go to that event? That is a family member. I do love that family member greatly, but there's also some other scenarios that just don't make me feel comfortable. Do I have the right to say no? And should I feel guilt? Should I feel obligated? Should I feel bad? And then I can remember that line in the sand that I drew, and I can go back and I can go, remember how much better I felt whenever I honored my truth at that point, and I stood up for myself at that point? That felt so good. And so now I know the answer is no, I don't have to go. No, I don't have to feel guilty, and I don't have to feel obligated. And I can still love that family member and not be involved in things that don't make me feel comfortable. So that's standing up for yourself. Standing up for yourself means you stand up for things that make you feel uncomfortable. So if someone wants to bring a dog that you don't like in your presence, it means saying, I'm not going to come over if the dog is out. I love you. I want to see you, but if the dog is out, I don't really get along with the dog, or somehow being nice about it, but just letting them know, hey, that dog is not who I came to see. I came to see you, and I love dogs, but I have my own dogs. Standing up for yourself. And even if it means that the relationship will terminate, if you have a boundary, if you have a preference, if you have a need, allowing the relationships in your life to terminate if necessary. Standing up for yourself means that if you are going to a service person to do your nails, per se, let's say, and that person treats you, you can just feel in your heart, because you're in tune with your intuition, you can feel that something is off, that you're not being respected. There's just they're not smiling, or they're just discarding you, dismissing your concerns, or just acting like something that doesn't make you feel comfortable. It means, maybe leaving that person, maybe finding another nail person, or hair person, or service person, or housekeeper, or dry cleaner, requiring that everyone that you deal with treat you with a level of respect. Not returning to restaurants where you get poor service and there's a pattern of disrespect of clients, of customers. So standing up for yourself is about walking away, setting boundaries, honoring your truth, knowing what your truth is, and then taking action to protect your truth. That is how you stand up for yourself. And I learn every day new ways to stand up for myself, and it's fun. And I feel empowered. And sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes it's not fun to stand up for yourself, because you have to do it with people that you love dearly, and you may have to walk away or lessen your exposure to the person, and that is hurtful. But at the end of the day, when you protect yourself against things that do not make you feel comfortable, then you're always brought to a higher level of consciousness and higher level of relationship and higher level service. You get a better nail lady, you get a better hair lady, you get a better plumber, whatever it is. You get a better experience when you begin to respect yourself enough to take up for yourself and stand up for yourself. Okay, so that's all I have to say on the topic. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know about your experience with with standing up for yourself? Are you able to stand up for yourself? Do you have struggles with standing up for yourself? And how have you learned to stand up for yourself? Please leave in the comment section below. And I will talk to you soon.